We're really excited about this one. We feel like it's just complementing the last two workshops that we did, and we're going to learn a lot today as well. Just before we start on the third topic, which is communication post-COVID, and we'll be presenting some digital tools to grow your social enterprise. I'll just do a quick recap of what we were talking about in the last module, which was module number 2. So we were touching on the social mission and the mission marketing. Now, I won't go through it all over again, but the main points were there. What are you selling and how are you selling it? And it was all about actually adding that value of having that social mission and connecting emotionally to your buyers, but also to the people who benefit from your activities, because you don't just have buyers, you have a community, you have beneficiaries. After that, we took it to branding and reassurance marketing, which is very relevant after this and during this whole COVID crisis. So we talked about how to communicate your reassurance messages to your crowd. And then we talked about who your crowd or your target audience actually is. So we talked about target groups, and we recognized there that you might actually have 2 target groups. It might be the same one, but you might just be selling your products and services to one target group and having another target group benefiting from that. Having things a little bit complicated there, we kind of recommended that you really define your target groups, and that you even take it a step further with building a target persona, and we showed you how to do that. And there was a little homework assignment which I hope you can find beneficial, and not just now, but in the future. You can always come back to that and keep that sheet and analyze your target personas. So after this short recap, and just before we continue with the presentation, I'd just like to invite anyone who feels like starting a little chat to just introduce themselves and their organization again. We had the last introduction like this on our first workshop, and we just feel it's been some time, so maybe a reminder on who's here and who are we talking to would be great. So anyone who wants to do that, will just turn on your microphones now, and if you want to just tell us a little bit about yourselves.
Hi, I'm Valerie from the Original Mining Experience.
Hi, Valerie.
Hi, good morning, everybody. We are a tourist attraction here in North Roscommon. Again, we've just reopened again on the 17th of July after the closure due to the COVID-19 restrictions. So we have been very busy for the last almost 6 weeks now, but it's really coming to an end now with the children going back to school. But we've actually been turning people away, which breaks your heart, but due to restrictions and incapacity, that's affecting all of our businesses really at the moment. But we hope going forward, that the numbers will increase steadily and that the restrictions will be lifted. But onwards and upwards. Thank you.
Thank you, Valerie. Yeah, we hope things will get better and you can avail of some funds if you haven't already. Thanks for that. Anyone else?
Hi, I'm Patricia Golden, the manager in Uno One Tourism. We're based in the grounds of King House here in Boyle, and we market and promote tourism in the area, as well as having a craft shop and a farmer's market. And like most people, we're just trying to readjust to this COVID. Thankfully, we've been busy enough, and albeit we've changed the way we work somewhat. We only have 2 people, myself and somebody else, working in the centre at any one time, and we sort of re-rota everybody where they work from home alternate days. So yeah, we're just, like Valerie, we're getting on with it, but people have been good. They have been coming out and about, and most people have been very compliant. Thank you.
Thank you. It's obvious that you do have your community there, and that's a good thing. And we will talk about communities today and in the ways in which they can support you. Thank you so much. Anyone else? Okay, so if no one else, you can do this later on, you know, if you feel like you have more to say or you have questions, we'll have these dedicated little times after each topic for questions and answers. So please, you know, feel free to ask then, or if you want to ask something even sooner, that's no problem. Okay, so Grace will start now with her introduction, and then I'll take over with the first topic.
Thanks, Sonia. Good morning, everybody. I suppose the little introduction there was for my benefit more so than anyone else. It's my first time to meet you all, and I've been kind of following in the background in the last few weeks and seeing the sort of things that you've been learning with Orla, Sonia, and Laura as well. So hopefully today's session will introduce some more I suppose new knowledge, new skills, some new things that you can I suppose bring forward into your work and into your businesses. So today we'll be talking about communication post-COVID with a particular spotlight on digital tools to grow your social enterprise. And I suppose this topic kind of emerged in our planning sessions for this training program. I think since last March, we've all seen a huge shift in the way we communicate. So even looking at these two graphics here, the kind of the pre and the post COVID, of course, before COVID, we could all communicate in groups, we could gather together, there was hand slapping, there was handshakes, you name it. Whereas now, you know, I guess the world is a different place, hopefully for a short time, but changes have happened in the last couple of months. That we kind of expect to, you know, last a little bit longer. So, how technology, I suppose, has had a huge role to play in communications during COVID and post-COVID. In the last kind of recent months and weeks, we've seen a shift towards life more online than out in the real world. You know, people were exercising online, socializing online, learning online. Businesses went online. I think there was, you know, some people were saying that it's kind of catapulted us into the future in some ways. So certainly businesses that hadn't expected or hadn't planned to maybe sell online suddenly had to in order to survive the challenge of the pandemic. So I suppose these things happened quite fast, but again, it's like everything, it's a change that we expect to be here to stay. I know certainly, like talking about, for example, the exercising online in our local town, the gym, big huge gym always did very well. During COVID, obviously, they had to shut. They started doing an online program and have now realized that they were, you know, the online program is, it's cheaper for them to run. They actually have more participants on it than they ever had going into the gym. So they've actually closed down the gym, sold all the equipment, and are now operating online. So it's a huge, drastic business model change. And I think that kind of alludes a little bit to as well something of the things that Valerie and Patricia talked about there in terms of, you know, it's a huge shift and huge change to the way we've worked. And today we're not going to talk about business model changes, but we're just going to talk about some tools and different technologies that you can use kind of immediately, and possibly some of you are using them already, but certainly into the future. So we wanted to start with just a little poll. So has the way you have used technology changed in recent months on either a personal or professional level? So with 4 options there, you should see the questions up on the screen. So yes on a personal level, yes on a professional level, yes on both levels, and no, not at all. It's a simple poll, but it's just to kind of get us in the mindset of thinking, well, how has things changed for us? So for me, myself, it's changed on both levels. So I've ticked that one. So it'll just be interesting to see the results of that. So we'll pop that up there for just a minute. So we've got a series of polls today as we go through the workshop, just to kind of gauge different experiences and levels, make our workshop a little bit more interactive. So how are the answers coming in there, Sonia? You might let us know if we can move on from that.
Yeah, we've had 9 responses up now. So if you want, I can end the polling.
Yeah, that'd be great. And maybe you can share the results for us if that's possible. Okay, so that's interesting. I think we've all seen a huge shift, so that's just a nice starting point. So I think moving forward then, looking at how this shift towards technology and I suppose the impact it has for you and in particular your social enterprise. Online business is very much here to stay now. And it's interesting that I think in the first week, Orla and Laura did some kind of needs analysis, and I think the findings were that over half of the group here don't have an insight or don't have a website, and feel commented that they were maybe had either no social media or were somewhat inactive in it. So I think in terms of moving forward, this is an area to explore in your businesses. It can be difficult, I understand, to have the people power to do something like social media, but we do have some solutions that we'll discuss towards the end of the workshop that could help you all. In terms of technology, I think a lot of people see it as a burden, or can see it, but particularly in business, if it's not an area you're comfortable with or familiar with, it's another thing that you have to learn, another thing that you have to master. But the benefits of technology really do outweigh the costs and the burden. The financial cost is low. It's a very lean and easy way to innovate. So if you have to change your model, technology can enable you to do that. And hopefully, as we go through today, we'll learn a little bit more about how you can use digital tools to make improvements in your business. So in terms of communication, I think one thing that has emerged as a result of COVID is, and it's of relevance to you guys in your work, is good communication is all about human connection, and in some ways COVID took that away from us. I love this graphic here of these healthcare workers, of course, PPE, masks, face shields, and to enable that communication and human connection, they've actually taped pictures of themselves to their uniforms. So again, just being mindful that, I guess not just in COVID, but in general, when we're communicating very well, it's because we're enabling and creating and facilitating a good human connection. So in the chat, if anybody else has kind of come across any good communication skills, good communication lessons, maybe some things that you do yourself in your business, in the way you communicate in your business, is it, what techniques do you use? Do you speak to people directly? Is it your tone of voice? Maybe just in the chat comment either a lesson that you've learned from COVID, such as this one about human connection, or some other skill or communication skill that you really strive to achieve in your communications. So we'll talk about those a little bit later, but just have a think about that and pop something up in the chat if something resonates. So that's kind of our introduction for today, a little bit about communications kind of in this post-COVID world. Our agenda for today then, we've got 3 topics. roughly 30 minutes per topic. Sonia and I will be kind of leading the way, and we have a special guest joining us as well for the second session. So the first session is about to start now, and this will be on communicating in an online world, how to create powerful images and graphics for free, and Sonia will lead that session. After that session, we will have a couple of minutes of a break, an opportunity to have a discussion, a group discussion. Then we will have our next session on building an online community, and we'll do a spotlight on some key digital tools that can help you do that, and we'll have our special guest join us. And then the last session is on digital tools to promote and facilitate volunteering. So that'll be, again, another practical session, spotlighting some key tools and some key skills that you can tap into. So any questions on this introduction or what we're going to cover, please pop them in the chat. Sonia's going to take over now, and I will be on the chat to answer any questions and have a chat there with you about any of the things that are up and coming. So I'll hand over to you, Sonia.
No, okay, thank you, Grace. Now I will share the screen. Give me 1 second. Okay, now just to answer your question there, I can't now type and talk, so but I wanted to give something as an answer to your question, what changed, what I do differently, or what did I realize about communication during COVID. I think there's a danger that the COVID is ripping us off of facial expressions, gestures, which kind of give away our personalities in the most wonderful way. So I find myself more aware of that, and when I'm communicating in written or through images or through messages or voice, I just have to kind of be aware of that. And it helps when you're aware that people can't see your face, for example, if you're not on a video call, because you'll just need to make that extra effort to be understood the right way, and your intentions would not be misinterpreted. So that's my mind on that.
Yeah, and actually just on that, Sonia, it's something because I've noticed that when I'm wearing a mask now, I smile way more with my eyes. Like it's something that I've just become aware of actually in the last few days, that I'm almost squinting because I think I'm trying to express more from my eyes because that's all people can see. So yeah, it's just, it's interesting, I think, the way we have changed, and we will have to change and adapt how we communicate. So not just personally, but also in business as well. And I think Orla touched on that a little bit as well in the first workshop about reassurance marketing, and different ways to kind of communicate, to provide that reassurance and to provide that kind of human connection. So yeah, thanks for that.
I'm sure it's a good practice, and it will sharpen our other skills, and then things will improve, and hopefully we will be able to communicate in the old-fashioned way as well, as much as in the new digital way. So,
and I've done that before. We have one more comment in here from Sabrina in Unabon, that the importance of compassionate communications, like online and over the phone, that's really important now as well. And I think that's something that we'll touch on a little bit later as well, is that kind of you know, that real person, you know, that real personable, trustworthy kind of approach. So yeah, thanks for that, Sabrina, for that add-in.
Yeah, because we're not all good at perhaps writing, and we are not all expressing ourselves good in written, but if we recognize that and realize that a person might not have a chance to see us in person, then, you know, we can make that extra effort to add more words, warmer approach, and we're just learning from the process, really. Yeah. So to continue on that communication method, but not just the one with words and not just with writing, I'm going to talk about the visual communications here, and actually how images and graphics can help us communicate our messages to the public. So it is very important to be able to master using images in marketing. I've written some reasons here, and I've used some of the researches I found. Between 65 and 85% of people are actually visual learners. So it makes sense to be able to communicate with visual means to the public. Even those who are not visual learners are kind of faced in the everyday trends to consume more and more of visual communications. So they are becoming trained to that as well. And we know that we're thinking differently than we did 2 years ago. Most of us are using different tools, different phones. And if you just try and go back to the old technologies, you'll see how hard it is. If you are used to using a smartphone and try to use another kind of old-fashioned phone, you'll see how untrained your brain is from the old one. That's the same thing with using images. Whether we know it or not, we have become used to them and trained to receiving information through a huge amount of images. And the world today is fast-paced, faster than in any time before. Which means there's a huge amount of images over there, and it's overwhelming for the consumer. Now, you might think this is the reason to give up on images, but it's actually not. It just means that you have to get better at communicating visually, and you have to stand out, and you have to master this. Now, don't be afraid. It's not that difficult, because thankfully there are tools for that make it really, really easy to produce beautiful graphics and beautiful images. And this is something we'll also learn today. We'll learn how to use 2 tools, and one of those is completely free. So another good reason is that online content with good images gets 94% more views than those without it. So that's the number one reason you really have to commit to mastering this art of creating visual content. So before we go on to the tools, I just wanted to present 4 types of images that are out there, because it's important to have this theory a little bit before you start, just understanding what different types of images are out there. You've seen a lot of them, but maybe you didn't necessarily recognize which is which. So the first type is high quality products or service photos. So when you think of your social enterprises, all of you have a product or a service or both that you're selling and that you're placing out there. Some of you have coffee shops and little, restaurants. So, for example, the image in the right-hand corner there, that's something you could do. You could get creative with it. It's not too hard. It's not too difficult. You can produce high-quality photos with your phone. You can add those quick filters, and there you go. And if you do a little bit of arrangement, you have a beautiful product placement. And you should do this from time to time. Commit to doing it maybe once a week or a few times per month, just to show what you offer and to communicate to your crowd that way. If you're offering coffee, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to just place a cup of coffee. You can get creative. You can think about a special international or national celebration days like Mother's Day, and you can see here an example of celebrating motherhood with a cup of coffee that you actually do offer. And now sometimes if you don't have your own image, maybe more with services than products, you can go to stock images, which I'll show to you later on. And you can use free images. There's loads of them that you can use for your own promotion as well. Just always be careful not to be misleading, not to kind of show off that you have something that you're not actually offering. But if you don't have your own photos and you find them acceptable to use stock images, that's okay sometimes as well. Some of you have tourism offers, so obviously the image of the mountain here is not saying, okay, I own this mountain, it's my product. No, but you're offering a service of sightseeing, of tourism, of an adventure. Same with the lake image here. There's one participant here that has a service or product of offering a gym to their members. And don't forget to place that image of your gym from time to time. You know, people like to see what's there, in what condition it is, how you feel about it. People like to see what they're going to get. There are also some shops with some clothes there, community shops. And this is a nice idea how you can be different with portraying your clothing line. So just some ideas, and just on the type, it's just product or service photos, and you should always be make sure that you have some of those on your social media or your website or any other communication channels. The other type of images is infographics. Now this is a really interesting one. These are some examples of infographics. Don't be frightened by the way it looks. It looks really good, but I'll show you the tool which allows you to just take one of these and just tweak it a little bit and make it your own. These types of images usually go a long way. They get shared and reshared, and then you get a lot of traffic, and you get a lot of brand awareness, and people find out about you. You get a huge reach from producing those. It's good to produce your own content, so people share the content from your page, for example, if it's Facebook or Instagram. It's also additional value because you actually do something there. You inform people about a process, or you give them some kind of useful information, while at the same time promoting yourself by putting your logo or your website somewhere on the infographic. So some of the examples here, that's a creative way. The first one to outline 5 reasons why someone should give to charity. Now you're not saying give your donations to me, which is kind of nice, and it gives a special classy tone to your communication. You're just saying why someone should, and you know, you're sharing it on your page, so don't be worried about not getting enough of credit. People will appreciate you when you give them such a good quality infographic. There's some other reasons here. How long does it take for your trash to break down in the ocean? You know, the topic is trendy. You can use this one maybe for some other topic and just tweak it a little bit. You can change colors. Parks and recreation. So people make infographics on all sorts of topics. People share recipes in this style. You know, people just communicate. Sometimes there's a call to action. Sometimes you actually want people to do something on your website or to contact you, and you can use infographic for that as well. The third type of images is the one that you're probably most used to. It's these snackable images. I'm sure there are other ways to call them. I was always wondering, what is that type of images? And I only recently found out that most people call them snackable. Those are the images that have a little bit of text on them. It might be a quote. It might be, again, a call to action saying, come on in, visit us, have that cup of coffee, come and talk to us. It might have useful information saying that you're back and open after COVID, your reassurance message. It's not too much text on it. Here, the last one I took, I just made this example, as most of you could use something like that. There's a person there, preferably someone from your staff, and there's a quote of that person saying that they're proud that they received funding and how they're going to use their funding, and for more information, calling people to visit their website. So just be aware that if you use these images to promote an ad, to make an ad on Facebook and promote it, maybe don't go for this option for ads because Facebook doesn't like too much text on their ads, and those ads don't get as much as reach as just images. So if you're doing an ad on Facebook, maybe do your text and just image without text added to that post. But then if you're not thinking about investing in an ad, 5, 10 euros, dollars, if you just want to post something, these are good for Instagram and Facebook because they alone have a huge reach. People find these easy to consume, easy to digest. They get all the information they need from these types of images. The fourth type is inside your business type of photos, and you should not ignore these. Here are some examples, especially in your reassurance post-COVID communications. I found the first example really, really good. It's a barbershop from Sligo. And yes, they did a good job with saying things with words and little illustrations there. But just when you look at the photo of them standing there being all ready, everything's clean, they have the equipment, they look so professional. And what they're saying is, come in, we'll take care of you, and we'll do things in a proper way now in this COVID times. So you just kind of think, okay, I'm gonna get that haircut over there and nowhere else. They really did a good job in reassuring people by showing images of people. And nothing works best to correlate and connect emotions than showing images of people. The second one is a little one of us there. This is when I just started working for Momentum, and we took this image there, and there was a post. I'm not sure who did the post, maybe Grace did, but you see, it got a pretty good amount of views and likes. That's because my family liked it, and then maybe Sonia's family, Sonia's there as well, and then Grace is there, and maybe some of her friends and family liked and maybe shared the image, and people just correlated, and they know who stands you know, behind this Momentum logo, and it just helps people see who it is that's doing this business in Momentum company. So it's not just a company, it's the place where a team lives and works. And the third one, well, these men that are smiling here are butchers. And I've never seen such an inviting commercial in that industry. And yes, I do need cooking tips and meat cuts and recommendations, but you know what? When I go to the butchers, I feel weird about asking. I'm thinking, should I know this? I'm not gonna ask. But isn't it when you see these smiling faces, you just don't feel that anxiety anymore, and you just feel kind of more prone to ask. So just what we explained here, the range of emotions when you see images plus text, that's the reason to use them. Now be aware of the GDPR and that all the people that you're using in your images actually consent to that, but definitely go for the images from inside your business. Now just a little bit more on inside your business stories, why to use them, because people do relate to people. So to recap on that, your brand is perceived at more personal levels, and people are not just perceiving you as another business. When you are just perceived as another business, it's kind of on the cold side, and you might be subject to more criticism. And you know, internet is a brutal space. You can get some not so friendly communication for no reason at all. But you know, you need to protect yourself with your people and include images and stories of people. It gives you softer voice. Now, if you remember a voice and a tone of voice that you're using, especially when you remember who your target persona is, so it gives you that friendly tone. It's very good for reassurance for post-COVID marketing. It gives face to your brand, and we will cover more of this in detail in our module 5. Now, inside your business stories, I just used an image of a person. There, it's the same slide as the previous one, but doesn't this slide make it kind of better than what I was just saying things and words on blank sheet of paper, but I've added the person here, and it sounds like warmer. So I just wanted to kind of show that example. I might have bored you on the previous slide, but you would have been more interested in this one. Just a trick that I used. So before we get on creating images, we do need to know a little bit about color psychology. Now, we don't have to, you know, research it all the way and study it, but we should be aware that colors are connected to the way we feel and react to things. And there is an amazing amount of research done on that, and you can always find that research online if you want to become more of an expert in the field. But for now, it's good to know that the color can play an important role in communicating your information to the public. Of course, people have their personal preferences, but there are also some standard ways in which colors are used and what color evokes which emotion and communicates which situation. So for example, red is an energetic color, increases the heart rate, it creates sense of urgency, but it can also be perceived as something that's firm and stable. Netflix, Pinterest, YouTube, Coca-Cola use red. Orange can be seen as aggressive, but also positive and friendly and cheerful. Think of Amazon and crunchy chocolate. Yellow is another color that's kind of in a positive spectrum and grabs attention. So it's also communicating optimism and warmth. For example, IKEA uses it. Now, green promotes health and nature and growth. Blue is a trustworthy color. Now, Twitter and Facebook are using it, but also if you try to remember pharmaceutical products, a lot of them use this color because they want to communicate that you can trust them and they're trustworthy and that you can consume the medicines that they produce. Purple is a creative color, you know, innovative brands want to use it. Yahoo used it as well. And then using multiple colors, you know, it's when you want to express diversity, a little bit of umbrella approach, and Google, NBC, eBay, and Microsoft use them in their logo designs. Also, before we get into image creating, now that we've talked about images a little bit and the colors, I just wanted to show one example of good versus bad. So the left one is a good one. Obviously, the red letters on this kind of background, and then tiny black font for the author. It's not something we would recommend. If it's not easy for you to read it, to consume it, if it's irritating in a bad way, don't use it. We all have different styles and different aesthetics. But the good thing is to go and practice what you see. Just go and take a look at, try to practice your eyes. Just take a look at a bunch of these images, the snackable ones maybe, and try to decide whether it's good or bad. And then if you're not a designer, and that's not what you should be, but you can always copy and paste a little bit, you know, the style. So use that. Now this here is a color emotion guide. When you're thinking about your logo colors, that's the first thing you develop when you're developing your visual identity. Some of you do have logos, some of you don't. So this is a good image to go to when you want to communicate, when you want to decide what kind of brand you'll communicate to your crowd. You can see that balance and calm and neutral gray is used by brands that want to communicate exactly that. Apple, Cartoon Network, Wikipedia, Puma. Then green is for peaceful and growth and health. You know, Animal Planet obviously uses green one. Trust and strength and being dependable. You go to the blue for that, and you can see the range of brands. Then we mentioned creative and imaginative and wise, and you can see the brands that use that. Chocolates, you know, usually use this color. Excitement and youthful and bold, it's in the range of kind of red to pink. Friendly and cheerful and confidence is communicated by orange. And optimism and clarity and warmth, yellow. And then you have the diversity ones with multiple colors. So this is a good photo to come back to when you're thinking, okay, what is my brand similar to? And when you start deciding on your logo or you want to rebrand yourself. These are the sets of questions you need to ask yourself. You might not have budget to go to a professional designer. So, you know, they would usually do a bigger questionnaire, but you can do a lot of work by yourself. And I'll show you later how you can create a solid logo and using Canva by yourself. But do this with your team to decide where are you going to, what kind of logo you'll do, what kind of visual identity. Is your brand masculine or feminine? Is it simple or not? Is it gray or colorful? Is it conservative, extravagant, approachable? Does it have authority? Is it a necessity or is it luxury? You know, if it's luxury, you're going to use maybe gold or silver colors. Is it fun or serious? You know, you're not going to use dark blue for a fun brand. Same for a casual brand. Is it more modern or classic? So at the end, you'll ask yourself what colors represent your brand and what colors would you not like to see. And you'll know much more about yourself then, and then you can take a look at some other logos for inspiration, and soon you will have your own visual identity. When we're talking about visual identity and communicating through images, the most important thing is to be consistent. So once you decide on your colors and your visual identity and you have your logo, don't step away from it often. Try to be as consistent as possible. I've chosen this one example there. This is Brain Pickings. It's a website that is kind of analyzing literature and philosophy texts and bringing them to their audience with a special approach. So you can see they chose yellow. And if you just go back and see, optimism, clarity, and warmth is for yellow. So yes, they are optimistic. They always bring optimistic messages. They have clarity and they have the warm approach. On the very left is their logo. In the middle is the example of how they stayed true to their identity on their Facebook page using their colors and visuals. And then the last one is their snackable image, where you can see motifs of their yellow, and then there's their website. So they stay consistent throughout their communications. Now this here, I might have to pause it from time to time. This is the Canva that I promised to present to you. I'll present it in a way of this video recording that I did. So I'll take you through the process of using Canva. Canva is a website, a platform that you can use to produce various types of visuals for yourself for free. So you go to canva.com, obviously, and from there you can sign in, you can register, or you don't have to do that, but I'll tell you later why you should register. These are the templates. So you have posts, you have logos, you can make a website, you can make a presentation, a card, an infographic, a flyer, an invoice, even a menu if you're a restaurant, content maps, and more. Now over here you have more designs available. You have some of them even here ready to be clicked and changed and adapted to your needs. So wherever you look, you have templates, and if you can't find one, you can just type and search for the topic. So I'll show you here how to edit one. I just took one, and you can upload your images, and then you can download what you finish. So there's a little snackable image. You can change the text on it easily. You can change the font. Each of these text portions are separate bits, and you can remove them if you need to. There are some photos available, most of them for free. You can see which one is for free, which one is not, so you can just take it and drag it into your work in progress. Some of the images are actually not free, but they're not pricey. They're about $1. Then you go and you download your design once you're finished. I'll take you to more detail, but I just wanted to show you that you can actually download different formats, and that you can actually adjust any of these templates by just clicking on it and moving things. Now, I would urge you to log in. You can do that by providing your email or your Gmail account or Facebook. Once you log in, the difference is you'll have your designs saved for future reference, so you won't lose your work. So that's why you should actually log in or register. Now this one is the one I made for one of the coffee shops, for example, in Roscommon. I actually changed it from this one here. This one was the one I found. So I just changed the wording a little bit. now here I'm writing Arena Mining Coffee Shop because I've seen that there is a coffee shop there. You can change the size of the font, the type of the font, the color. You can remove bits, you can ungroup this. There's me changing the color and the size. And then the type of the font, there's huge amount of the fonts available. And then I didn't want to use the ice cream one. Let's say we don't offer ice cream, but we want to portray coffee. So I just searched for coffee images and I found the free one and implemented that one. So there it is. Now the only problem I had there, I wanted to move this image a little bit. Clicked twice and moved it. Now I want to move this. I want to ungroup it. So it's maybe I want to move it bit by bit, or I can group it and move it all together. So I want these letters to be white, but to be visible, obviously, because coffee is a little pale there. I'll have issues with that. So I want to add something. I'll add an element, and that's a square. That's my trick I use. So I'll add a square there. And what I'll do with the square, I'll make it go behind the text backward. Now I can see the text. Now I'll make it more transparent because I want to see the coffee as well, but I wanted to provide a good shield for the letters. So there it is. And I don't like the color, so let's make it gray. So you see, it's easy. You can do these things. You can do a simpler thing. I want to reposition that to a better place. And I think there you go. You have a nice message that you're open and who you are and where you're opening. And now you can download. PNG is a good way to go. And then you can save your file and you have an image. Now I'll just pause this for a second. I chose here Facebook post for this image, and when you choose types of images, you have dimensions ready there. So this gave me a perfect dimension for a Facebook post. If you want an Instagram post, go and choose that. It's a slightly different dimension, and that's very important as well. So I made another visual here for arena mining situation. I went to the Facebook page and I saw that they have this safety charter accreditation, and I thought it would be a nice idea to make a visual of that. I actually downloaded that image from their website. To do that, I actually used this template. So it's the same template, I just adjusted it. I removed these letters, this text, and I added my own. I changed the image. I could move this image. I changed it completely. And I obviously put in place the one that Arena Mining had on their Facebook. I hope you're okay with this, that I use this just for show and tell. And maybe if you like it, I can send it to you. So I just downloaded that image, saved it to my computer, and then went to the uploads and chose a device and uploaded the image that I want to use. Waited a little bit to upload, and then I took it and dragged it to that field. Easy as that. Then I wanted to respect the color coding, so the color scheme. So I changed this, the size. I wanted to make it bigger, and I wanted green. So I played with the color. I didn't find the right color straight away, so I went further into looking for it and found hopefully the same one or the very similar one. And then I changed the size of the font. I wanted it to be very visible who this is. And I removed that little tiny piece of text because I don't need it. Now a bit of decoration and consistency with the color there again. And then I wanted to add the text. So there's a proposal of the text there, and I used it because I liked it, ungrouped it, so I can delete. I made a mistake there. So I can delete the bottom text, and I want to use this format, but I don't need this wording. I need to say something else. I'll just position it. If you need to position it, sometimes you can use your cursor. It's easier on your keyboard. This is the text I copied and pasted from the Arena Mining Facebook page, saying we have received the Fáilte Ireland COVID-19 Safety Charter accreditation. So it's kind of a nice message. People will probably love to know that you did something very professional and you deserve this accreditation, and they could feel a lot safer about going in and availing of your services and your products. A little bit of placement, a little bit of play with where the words are, and it's done. Now, you don't have to go this much into detail, but I just wanted to show you as much as possible in this short amount of time. And now, for more templates, you can do even the logo. Here are some examples of logos. So you can just click into one that you like, or you look for a topic there. For example, if you are a shop, I should have been more precise, but there are some logos of some shops. They're not the most perfect logos in the world, but if you don't have a budget, they're just fine. Maybe you like one and you want to use something similar. So I chose one almost randomly, and I wanted to adjust it. Now, this is not the perfect example of the logo. I just wanted to show you how you can try and make your own one after you did the analysis. So I'm trying to make a logo for a shop. I don't need the beach house. I went into elements to look for graphics of clothing or something similar, but I couldn't find it. So I did something else. You see, I typed here and I didn't find anything free or good for my idea. So soon I will show you here. I went to a website where you can find free images and illustrations. I think it's Pixabay or Pixel Images that I'll go to now, and I'll find an image that I actually do like. So pixabay.com, and there's the search bar, and I'll look for what I need under illustration section. And there you go. I picked the first one. I imagined I'm just doing a logo for a ladies' clothing shop, and download that, and then I'll be able to upload it into the Canva. And once I upload it, I'll be able to just replace it there. So deleted that, increased the size, kind of uploaded the image, placed it there, adjusted the size. Now change the wording. And it's a fashion for ladies kind of shop. Now, obviously colors might not be the best. It's blue and it's for ladies, so I might want to change colors and maybe even font. I know I don't recommend using this type of logo. It's not the best. I'm not the designer, but you know, it's a tool you use when you need to make things on your own because you're not so great with the budget, and it's useful to know that it's out there. And I did this only in 2 minutes. I'm sure if you really want to make your logo in Canva, you can commit more time to it and a little bit of placement, and that logo there is actually ready. Now you can download it. So pricing, Canva can be free, but don't go just to the free option. Go to the non-for-profits option if you are registered as non-for-profit, because you'll have more to avail out of that. Non-for-profits have more benefits there using Canva. So that's that one. And then the next tool you can use, which is not for free, but it's if you really want to be different and perceived as fun and do something different, you can pay membership on this. It's called Pixton. It's pixton.com. It is a tool to make comics, quick comics that you can use to communicate your messages in a fun and engaging way towards your crowd. You can sign up, similar like Canva and anything else. You can make, these are the prices. You can make You can try it for free. You can make your comic straight away or adjust your characters, or do a template. Use one of the templates. Templates are really useful and great. So what I did, I just chose one of these templates there. And I just imagined you want to say that your doors are open for public now after the COVID. So I chose this one, the woman standing in front of a building. Now you can change the whole scenario. I'm having a watermark here because I didn't pay for it, but you can imagine, you know, if you're going for it, you won't have the watermark. So you can change everything in it. The background, you can choose, the scenario can be outdoors, indoors, can be a building or a setting. And you can choose the wording as well. So these are the different types of scenarios and scenes that you can use. So this means you can communicate really a lot. You can really adjust it to your needs. You can choose the character as well. When editing the character, you can edit everything. You can edit the clothing. Maybe this one would be good for a gym, but I decided to change it. You can change the colors, you can change the hairstyle, the face expression. You can even change the moves that the person has, the body posture. And there I went to change the wording on it. So today we're ready to open our doors for you. That's the message that I want to send out there. And once I type that in and click there it's changed. So I already almost have everything done. You know, you can make the person happy or any other emotion that you want to do. And here are the options for body postures. So it's really great. You can do a lot with this, and you can make a habit of communicating this way. I'm sure you recognize that. So this is like a short comic. I didn't edit the other ones. I can export it like this and use it. You go share and you go download. And then you can choose between these 4 options of your layout. But what I really needed here, yeah, you would go save your file or open your file. There it is. But I really needed just the first image. I didn't want to do a whole comic sequence, so I just wanted to do the first image. And I can do that as well if I go edit and I just delete the other panels. The other 2 squares, I delete them, remove them, and I continue as normal.
You know, is what do you call him? Oh, Jesus. Sean Malarkey, is he taken an hour?
And that's ready to...
no one got in touch with you. Paul Nafton is looking for
if you can just maybe silent the... And then that's ready to be downloaded. So
right, that's all right.
For that would be me communicating the images bit to you. And then I'll give this now to Grace. I'm not sure if we're going to have questions and answers, or will we skip that just to be on time?
Thanks, Sonia. That was learning for me too. I haven't used, I've used Canva before, but not Pixton. So interesting to learn a new tool. Yeah, I think we might just skip the discussion for the moment. We have planned to have a brief discussion after each session, but I'm just conscious of the time. So we might just move on a little bit to our next session, and then we will have a bigger discussion, at the end of session 2, if that's all right. In this session, we have a guest speaker joining us, and I'm conscious that she has kind of a set time that she can be with us. So this session is going to be on building an online community or tribe, and I'm delighted to welcome Val Robus to join us on this. Val will be having a discussion with us in a couple of minutes, but I'll just provide a kind of a brief introduction on this session. Following on from, I guess, Sonia's interesting talk there in terms of creating and communicating online. Again, we have another very quick, short, brief Zoom poll. So the question in this Zoom poll is, if you already have an online community or tribe, do you feel that your business has an online community or tribe? If you can maybe run the poll, Sonia, thank you. So the answers here are yes, no, or you're not sure. So just to kind of gauge again where we are, if you feel you have one, tick yes. If you don't, or maybe your online presence is not that strong, tick no. Or if you maybe are online but you're not really sure what an online community is, or maybe tick not sure. So let's run that for a second, and we'll get your answers there. It's just interesting to gauge what level everyone is at before we kind of go deeper into this topic. So hopefully you're finding the session beneficial so far. This one is going to be a little bit different, a little bit of a presentation, and then kind of a live discussion with Val, who has lots of experience in cultivating online communities. So Sonia, I think we can maybe let the poll finish up there. Okay, so that's interesting. 33% feel that yes, you have an online community or tribe, 50% say no, and 70% are not sure. So hopefully at the end of the session, particularly those that are in the no bracket or the not sure, you'll learn some ways to maybe start an online community or tribe, the benefits of doing so, and those that have an online community already, maybe you learn some new things as well in terms of engaging them in your community in new ways. So to get moving then, so finding your tribe, and we love this little graphic. So if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And I think with regard to particularly social enterprise charities, not-for-profits, it's something that you have to do together. There's a togetherness around that. Your social mission, everything that you're working to achieve, means that you're not in isolation. You are in fact, going together. You're going in a group and you're working together. And the more you can kind of tap into that kind of a group mindset, the better, really. So in looking at why a tribe is important, so again, talking here about, we're going to look at collaboration, connection, which we've already discussed a little bit in the earlier session. Going alone with few resources, it's tricky. It's hard to do. You're limited. And I think those of you that have a community around you probably see the benefits of it. You have people who believe in your cause, you have people who support your cause, you have advocates, maybe you have a pool of volunteers that you can tap into. So I'd be interesting if those of you who have kind of an online community, if during this session you could maybe share some of your thoughts and on having one, on running one, on cultivating one, on the benefits there is for your business. It'd be interesting learning for everybody, I think, here to kind of get those kind of insights and see maybe the possibilities of having an online community and what that brings. So online communities now are more important now more than ever. And again, we're talking about post-COVID, and people couldn't socialize, couldn't gather, and still cannot to a certain extent. We are again, communicating more online, we're living more online, and technology and online communities are a way for you to reach people that maybe you could reach in the past and can't reach now due to restrictions, or it could be a way to reach new people. So there are more people now online than ever before. I even know in my own family, my mum, who was a novice, well, I won't say a novice, I mean, she can use her mobile phone, she can text, she can do all of that. But since COVID, she's now on WhatsApp, she's on Facebook, and she's exploring all these new technical platforms. And I'm sure lots of you will know people like that as well. So there's a new cohort of people online that were never online before that now you have the opportunity to reach as well. So in terms of the benefits of building an online community, here are just a few. So an online community is a powerful way for you to spread awareness of your brand. So if you can amass a multitude of followers, be it on Facebook, or if you have a Facebook group, or on Twitter, when we speak to Val in a few minutes, she'll talk to us a little bit about the different platforms she uses. But it's a brilliant way of building your brand. You can use your online community then to market, sell, and fundraise more effectively. And in the examples that are following, we've particularly focused on the fundraising aspect. I think in some of the training that Laura did with this group last year, and I know some of you were involved in that, online fundraising was a kind of a place of maybe that there was training needed. It was an area that maybe you hadn't gone into before. I'm not sure if you have since, but certainly in the slides that follow, we'll be showing you and introducing you to some case studies and different groups that have fundraised online quite simply using tools that maybe you're already familiar with. An online community is a great place and something that you can use to unlock an advocate and volunteer base. So if you can grow followers for your business, advocates for what you do, your cause, your social mission, there's a good chance that those will also potentially volunteer and support your business in other ways. And actually the third session is going to look at that in a little bit more detail. So it's all kind of interlinked. There's a little thread running through today and indeed through the past workshops that you've been involved in as well. So the last benefit we're going to talk about of building an online community is social collaboration, knowledge exchange, and problem solving. And these will be brought to life in our discussion with Val and in the case studies that follow. So before we get into the discussion with Val, what do you need to grow an online community? So again, talking about that thread that's running through all of the workshops previously and today's one. So we see there being 4 key things that you need to grow an online community. So the first thing you need to know is your social mission. So your social mission, as you learned last week with Laura, is what brings it, is kind of what's going to bring your community together. This is what you need to tap into. You need to be able to define your social mission, to know what you're trying to achieve, and to know who benefits from your social mission. This kind of taps in a little bit into this little box over here. So to also grow an online community, well, you need to know the type of people that are going to be interested in being part of that community. And last week, Sanya covered the session on target groups and personas. So these are the people that are passionate about your cause and mission. So I know some of you have done that exercise and have sent it back to Sanya for input. Again, it's not something that you have to do, and indeed you don't need to send it back to us for input unless you want that. But it's just a useful exercise, even just to do internally, to kind of know that these are the type of target groups that are going to be interested or are interested in my business or my social mission now or in the future. The next thing that you need to grow an online community is the awareness and the ability to create an emotional connection. And that's something that Orla touched on in workshop 1, and something we'll explore a little bit further next week's workshop on storytelling. So a little bit about empathy, emotional connections, and how you can use that in your marketing, in your and in the way you communicate online and offline as well. And then today's session is all about digital tools. So different spaces and tools that you can explore and use to grow your online community. So again, as I say, the little thread weaving through the sessions and bringing you on a little learning journey. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Val Robus, who some of you might already know. Sonia, you might spotlight Val in a couple of minutes as well, or the speaker. There she is. Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Val is founder of the Having a Laugh charity and co-founder of the Sligo Hub community website, but she has buckets and buckets of experience in working with and supporting social enterprises, and also documenting them for the Sligo Participant Network and other organisations. So, Val, good morning. Would you just like to give another little bit of an introduction on yourself? Have I missed anything?
Well, I suppose I've been a blogger for 11 years, so I'm well used to telling my story. And I'm really interested in the whole community aspect of things and getting people together. So with Sligo Hub, we did that. Through the COVID, we were asking people for their stories and we published them. And it just gave people an outlet to tell their story. You know, so many people are isolated, especially at the moment, and it was just a way for them to express themselves. And with the Having a Laugh charity, which is a mental health charity, mental health has been a huge thing through COVID, and we've adapted the way that we worked through that. So I don't know, are you going to talk to me a bit more about that? So
lovely. Yeah, so the Having a Laugh charity, from what I know about it, it started, a lot of your work was happening offline, and then with COVID it had to move online. So maybe you could tell us a little bit about that process, how the community maybe started offline and then how it moved to online, and maybe what tools you've used.
Yeah, the Having a Laugh charity, there was a festival once a year, which hasn't happened for a couple of years, just logistics and funding and things like that. But we had a monthly coffee morning. Actually, we had two of them. We had the first one that happened once a month in Sligo, and then the second one was in Leitrim. So that was the Leitrim one was quite a new one, and it was lovely. It just was a place where people could come in and sit down and have a chat. And it didn't have to be about mental health. It was just about making connections, which is so important. So then COVID happened, and we realised a lot of our members were lost and isolated. So we took the coffee mornings online. And instead of having them once a month, we had them weekly, because we felt that people needed to know that there was support out there. A lot of our members might live alone, and in fact one of the members, it was her 60th birthday during one of our online coffee mornings, and she had nobody to celebrate with, so we were there with her virtually, and she just it made such a difference to her life. We've also we're producing a book, and the book started, the chat started from one of the coffee mornings. We were sitting telling funny stories, because even when you have mental health issues, you have to look at the bright side of life. So, you know, most of the people that come to the coffee mornings, we've all been there. We know how each other are feeling. We've been in the same situation, and laughter is quite important. I'm just thinking I had a panic attack in a mindfulness class, but anyway, I won't go into that. So we started telling funny stories, and then the idea of a book came about, a book that people could dip in and out of, and realise that, you know, there is a lighter side to life. So through social media, and it probably wouldn't have grown as much as it did without social media. The book now, we started with 5 stories. We now have over 100 from people all over the world, with people from America that have joined in because of social media, because we told our story. We were interviewed from the Irish Times. Again, that was from Twitter. You know, don't be afraid to tell people your story. People will become invested in you. People love hearing that they're not alone. And this was all done really through social media. If we were still having our monthly coffee mornings, it probably wouldn't have grown to this at all.
Wow. So I guess the move online has been, you know, a really empowering one for the charity and for the book and for everything over the past kind of couple of months.
Yeah, so positive. And I mean, now we're at the stage now, we put a call out for sponsors for the book, because I suppose the charity, what they do is they provide life enhancing experiences for people in mental health counselling. So if you're going through counselling, you might not know what you want to do, but the charity will send you a voucher for maybe a seaweed bath or something that you want to do that might make you feel a bit better at a really tough time of your life. So we wanted the book to not only tell the story of the charity and what it does, but also to raise money so that it can support other people that are going through counselling. So we put a call out for sponsorship, and I'm delighted to say now that the book, with the sponsorship that we've raised, and again, all online, all people spreading our word, the book now won't cost the charity anything to publish, and all the funds that are raised will go back into providing life-enhancing experiences for people that really need it.
That's beautiful. And I think that idea it's a lovely one, and maybe something for the group to take as well, is that, you know, when you're thinking about doing fundraising, that creating something of value like a book is a lovely way of doing that. You know, you're creating something, a new product, a new service, something new that, you know, can bring the charity to life, and bring your work to life in a new way. But also then it's another way to kind of, you know, leverage funding, support, and interest in what you're doing. So
absolutely, and it's such a simple idea with the book. I mean, I was just thinking, so many of the people in this group this morning, you've all got amazing stories. I know with going to Unabarn, and they did a tour of the area which I was on. A book to tell the history, you know, with photos and people's lived experiences would be lovely. People would buy it, you know. It's quite a simple way to do it, and we're self-publishing. There's no publishing issues. It's been a lot of learning, but it's been fantastic. So there are different options, and your community will really get behind you. You know, it's just another thing to think about really with the book.
that's lovely. And I think we might touch on that a little bit more next week. We have a storytelling workshop next week, so that could be certainly an area that we look into a little bit more. And maybe Val, if you enjoyed today's session, you might come back and speak to us in a little bit more detail on that.
Yeah, I'd love that.
Great. So I guess there was another really interesting, I know when we had our preliminary discussion about today's session, you were telling me about a group in Sligo that came together virtually, had never met during COVID, and actually started working and collaborating together online. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about those.
Yeah, this is the Northwest SOS community group. They were just a shout out was put on social media during the start of COVID, when there wasn't enough masks and scrubs for people in the frontline services. So two ladies got involved and asked, did anybody have a sewing machine? And the response was enormous. So these people came together virtually. I think there's about 70 members now from Leitrim, Roscommon, Sligo, all over. And most of them living up in the hills that they wouldn't have had a chance maybe for transport to get into anyway. So they worked from home, and then they coordinated to pick up the masks, the scrubs and everything. And then I'm just smiling looking at this photo, because I took this for the PPN, and it was the first time that these people had met in real life. And it was just lovely, because they already knew each other. There was, you know, they knew each other from online. And the story was lovely. I mean, one lady said her husband saw the poster in the Sligo Cancer Support Centre, and he said to her, "You have a sewing machine, you're doing nothing, would you not join in?" And she did, and she absolutely loved it. And they've donated thousands of masks and scrubs, and they did a GoFundMe to raise money, and it was hugely successful. The community got behind them. There were craft shops that donated equipment, the elastic and material and everything, and it's just been a brilliant positive story.
That's brilliant. And again, something that started as a call out on Facebook, on social media, turned into a Facebook group, and then kind of, you know, developed into this really lovely virtual online community around a cause. So I think that's a fabulous example, and one that, you know, we can all learn from. Again, I suppose the topic was very timely. Again, you know, people wanted to help during COVID, but I think moving forward, and again, a lesson from COVID is that, you know, people do want to engage, they do want to give back, and again, getting back to the social mission, if our participants here can work on communicating their social mission, there is people online and there are people at home who are interested in supporting social enterprises and charities. Would you agree, Val?
Absolutely. And there's also, I mean, people love to be involved, and you know, some people maybe can't physically become involved, but they can socially. And you know, if you find the people that are interested, they'll spread the word for you. It's such an easy thing to do, and it's very accessible. It's like social media has its negativity, but from my point of view, I found it on the whole mainly positive. You know, you'll meet the best of people, and there are so many people that will be willing to help, you know, and get involved.
Brilliant. So I know I'm conscious, Val, that you have to leave us, but maybe if anyone
I'm okay till 12, so I'm okay.
Oh, you're okay till 12. Okay,
Yeah.
No worries. Okay, well, we might save our questions then for the end of this session. So thanks, Val, for your input.
Thank you.
And if anyone has any questions for Val, we'll have a little discussion at the end of this session, or you can pop them in the chat, or if you have any thoughts or anything, please, pop them in the chat or share them at the end of the session, and we'll bring Val back and Sonia back for a discussion at the end of this. So thanks again, Val. We'll keep moving on, and on this theme, I think we're going to stick with this kind of case study flow. So Val mentioned there a little bit about the GoFundMe campaign that the Northwest Soul Group ran, and again ran through GoFundMe. Just a little bit on that for registered charities. It's free to use, but for those that are not registered, there's a 3 to 5% kind of fee that GoFundMe takes from your campaign. But it's interesting to see that this group started their fundraising in April and raised 7,324 euros, having a goal of 100. Now I'm sure they hopefully expected to pass that, but I can imagine that went a long way towards their work in creating all of those masks and PPE gear at a time when they were really needed. So again, I suppose just going back over a little bit over Val's slides. So she talked a little bit about virtual coffee mornings that were facilitated by Zoom, and of course we're on Zoom here this morning. So I think it's a tool we've all become used to and familiar with in recent months. So again, maybe have a think about how that could potentially be used in your business to facilitate an online community. Val also mentioned fundraising online, and on the fundraising on the Having a Laugh website, there is a book sponsorship page, and they have done a sponsorship option where you get a listing in the book or a logo. So there's kind of a corporate angle to that. 30 euros to be listed as a sponsor, 60 euros in the silver, so you get a listing, website listing, a logo in full color on the website. These are all website listings, and then when you get up to here, you get official book credits and mentioned in press releases, etc. So again, when you're thinking about funding and sponsorship, looking at the different levels is a good way to maybe encourage people to engage. This would be a little bit similar to the crowdfunding mechanism, where you give something and then you get recognition back, or you get something in advance. Something that Sonia and I actually spoke about yesterday as well, and I might just go out of this and bring it up. I didn't share a slide on it, but in terms of fundraising online, Sonia, you might like to jump in on this as well for a second, and we'll have just a quick discussion on this option. Let me just reshare. So when we were talking yesterday about fundraising online, something that popped up was this idea of a kind of a membership or subscription type of fundraising, where instead of asking somebody to donate like 50 euros or 100 euros or whatever amount it might be, you can ask for smaller amounts and have it spread out over an amount of time. And this can be facilitated through various tools, but one of them is patreon.com. And Sonia, I know you have a little bit more of an insight into this one.
Yeah, so this is creating a long-term relationship with your community, or once you have a significant amount of community members or followers, it makes sense to do this. So this is opposite to one-off donations or one-off crowdfunding contributions. This derives directly from that relationship where your target group appreciates what you do and loves your social mission that you communicated so well, and they love you and they have no problem to support you. And nowadays people actually really look for opportunities to support a cause, especially cause so dear to them. You know, you feel good when you know you're helping someone to do some good in the world. You might not have time to do the actual work, but it's good supporting someone. The good thing is you're not asking for huge amounts of money. So it can be, for example, €1 per month. So it's a little bit maybe like, now I'm going to say direct debit, but don't get scared by that word. But it's a little bit like that. They commit to give, for example, €1. One person commits €1 each month to you automatically. It's nothing to them. But then if you have 6,000 or 10,000 or 20,000 of followers, and you know, even 200 of them commit to this, that means you have €200 of constant income from this, and you can bring it back to the community. You know, you need money for your expenses, you need money for marketing, and you can use even small bits from this to put back and invest in your social enterprise, and you can say it that way. So all you need to do is register here and install it or share it on your platforms and invite people, explain to them what it is and invite them to it. So then you can expect maybe people to commit to contributing that symbolic €1 and supporting you, but then you go for the number of people as opposed to an amount of one-time donation. And it even firms up your relationship, because you will be saying thank you to those people. You will feel that you need to maybe report is a strong word, or maybe commit to them to let them know how the project is going or what you're doing. So it's a love relationship, and you will both benefit from it, you and your community. So it's different from crowdfunding. Yeah.
Lovely. Thanks, Val, or Sonia, for that. So again, I know we have mentoring clinics coming up, and Orla is the mentoring expert at Momentum, so she will be offering more supports with regard to fundraising and finances and everything like that. So we'll talk a little bit about mentoring just before we finish up today. We have some sessions tomorrow, Thursday and Friday. Some people have booked in already, but we'll have a little discussion on that. We'll give you the link to where you can book, but just some things to be mindful of as we go through these slides. There are lots of different ways to fundraise and raise finances, so hopefully we'll give you some new ideas. Something that popped up from last year, I think with Laura's session, was the idea of bringing raffles online. So for example, I suppose even in our own community, all of these GAA raffles, it was I suppose usual that the guys selling the raffle tickets would go around to the pubs on a Saturday night and sell them, or whatever night of the week. So we're much used to kind of raffles being offline rather than online. But again, post-COVID, with everything moving online, we need to start thinking about how we can move things like this online, things that we know work, So this is a nice example from up beside where Laura's from in North Leitrim. This community group run a charity pony drive every year, and this year is their 30th year. And instead of, you know, maybe paring things back, they innovated and they found new ways to deliver the event. So the event is going ahead in September, and they have started a Facebook group and an event page. So it's interesting that they've chose to do that. So rather than having a Facebook page that maybe lies dormant from one end of the year to the next because it's a one-off event that happens, they have chosen instead to use a Facebook group and an event page. So the event page again is, you know, linked to the date. People can tick that they're interested and they're going. The more people that tick they're interested in going, the more people the event reaches, because if I tick that I'm interested, all my friends will get a notification to say that I'm interested. So even for virtual events, Facebook events are very useful to run. So if you're doing something online and you want to drum up some support for it, you want to get attendees for it, you can use a Facebook event for that. And again, anything offline, any events that can happen, they can be set up as a Facebook event. In the Facebook group, then it's a public group, so it's open to anyone. Here's where they have discussions on the actual event, what's going to happen. They're running their fundraising through here as well. So, and fundraising is a key focus of the campaign because it's a charity event. So I'm not sure if anyone has seen this, but there are a number of key tools online that you can integrate with Facebook to run an online raffle. And one of them is Lotto Raiser. And actually, if you go to this website, lottoraiser.ie, you'll see that there are lots of examples of GA clubs, going back to my first example, around the country, who are using this. Thank you, Sonia. So you're sharing some insights in the chat on how to set up a Facebook event. So yes, so back to Lotto Raiser. It's a really simple tool to set up. Lots of GA clubs around the country are using it. You'll see lots of examples on the website. A little bit high of commission, 15%. But again, it's, as Sonia mentioned, leveraging the power of Facebook to sell more. So even though the commission is a little bit high, you would be hoping that going online, communicating your raffle very well. Again, the social mission, what it's trying to achieve, who it's supporting, will help spread the raffle virally online. So that's just another tool. We've one or two other little miscellaneous slides that we've added in towards the end here, just to kind of again give you some ideas of where you can create a space online for you and your business. So Buy Social is run by the Irish Social Enterprise Network, and it's a directory of social enterprises. I'd be interested if any of you are listed on it, maybe comment in the chat and let us know if you've heard about it. So it's it's a searchable directory for consumers, councils, charities, businesses, that they can search to find social entrepreneurs in their area, or social entrepreneurs with the mission that they are interested in, and they can then engage with them. It's free to get a listing. It's a really lovely tool that you can use to kind of, again, create brand awareness, get your name out there online. So yeah, it would be interesting to see if you've heard of it or if you know about it. I guess as a piece of homework, I haven't much homework in my sessions, but as a piece of homework, that could be something to look at for each of you to maybe set up a listing there on that. TikTok, some of the suppose one of the newest tools, social media tool. It's really kind of taken to the stage over the last kind of 6 to 8 months, and there's actually 1 billion users online now. So it's a new platform for you to engage in. So for those of you who aren't familiar with it, it's basically a video sharing platform. The videos are short, they're 15 seconds, and they're very catchy, very simple. It's a tool that maybe started off as they do, young people mostly interested in it. But on the link here, we've got some examples of how different businesses are using it to engage their service users. So hopefully this works. I haven't tested this since we set it up. Okay. I'll make it a little bit bigger. So dancing is a big part of TikTok. And I mean, not everything we have to do needs to be selling. You know, it's also good to kind of, you know, engage your service users, show what you do, show how you're kind of benefiting them. And this is I think a lovely little video that kind of plays on the trend of TikTok and brings some fun into the day. So this is from Future Directions TikTok. So it says, our final post for Wellbeing Week is this fabulous TikTok from the staff and people as they care for the Future Direction CIC supported living in Bradford. Big thank you to the social enterprises working in health care. So again, it's really short, simple, lovely little fun dance video. And again, we're not sharing sound here, but just to give you a kind of a snapshot of how you can use, again, TikTok to kind of grow and share your social mission, cultivate an online community, have a little bit of fun as well. So again, there's a hashtag for everything, but the one on TikTok is all the difference. So that's kind of the social enterprise one. Anything in the chat? I see something popping up there. Let's see. Anyone have any comments there? Did I see comments? Where did it go? Okay. What's the web? Okay, the website is Buy Social. I will send that to you, Sabrina, in a couple of minutes. Okay, so back to our little presentation. One of the other tools that Val particularly mentioned was Twitter. It's often one that I know businesses shy away from a little bit, but when it's used and used well, it is a very powerful tool. In our experience, using it personally for momentum, and also seeing how other social enterprises use it, the personal approach is best. So, for example, this is an example of a social entrepreneur, Alma Jordan. She is based in Louth. She is the founder of AgriKids, and she has cultivated a huge following online, and has used primarily Twitter to grow an online community around her business. So AgriKids is all about health and safety on the farm, and teaching children and adults and parents and teachers and everyone how to help children live and interact in farm settings in a same farm safe way. So she is actually an award-winning entrepreneur, a social entrepreneur. So for those of you who are on Twitter, if you're not already following her, maybe give Agri Mammy a follow. And she's a really interesting one to follow, to see how you can cultivate online communities and how you can engage with people online. So that is Agri Mammy. So we're getting to the end of this session, and we just had a couple of questions, posing a couple of questions for you to think about in your own time, or indeed if you'd like to bring them up in the discussion here that's about to follow on. So are you surrounded by the right people, either online and offline? And this is all about, again, your target group, Are you reaching them? Are you addressing their needs? Do you have a tribe or community? And if you don't, how can you attract your tribe? What have you learned from today? I'm sure you have questions. I know I certainly have some for Val as well. So maybe we will start our discussion now, and we will turn on everybody's mics. Feel free to chip in, and we'll have a couple of minutes of discussion. We are at, let's see what time we are now. We are at 11:39. So we might just take 5 minutes of a discussion, and we can do maybe a couple of minutes of a comfort break before we start our last session. Does that sound okay with everybody? Yeah? Okay, great. So I might get started because I wanted to ask Val, maybe, Val, if you had 3 takeaways for building an online community, what would they be? If it's not too tricky a question.
No, it's fine.
On the spot.
Firstly, tell people about it. You know, you can't keep things a secret, especially on Twitter. It's very, very fast moving. So you almost need to keep repeating yourself. And although it may seem tedious to you, there are some people that will follow you that won't have a clue what you're talking about, because Twitter is just so fast moving. And I found that through highlighting the book. People would say, well, what's this book about? And I'd literally been going on about it for about the last 3 weeks, you know. So it's just tell people, keep telling the same message, keep spreading the word, and then it just helps reach other people. And then the other, I suppose the other couple of things is people buy from people. They love reading your stories, and I found that especially through the blog, especially with the mental health challenges. People loved to see that I was the same as them, really, you know, because I suppose the blog was very much touristy and photography, and then I got depression, so it was how I dealt with that, and people were just so supportive, and I learnt from them and they learnt from me, and it was a real supportive thing. So as I say, people love the personalities behind the pages that they see. And be positive if you can. I know, like, it's very hard. There's so much negativity out there, and especially on Twitter, I suppose. But try and stay away from it, and try and be positive, and then you'll attract the positive people to follow you, because that's really what you want. You don't want the trolls or the negativity, because that can be quite intensive and quite disturbing, actually. So if you keep a positive slant on it, you're far more likely to attract the people that you want and the people that you need to grow your business or your community group. So I suppose that would be my 3.
Great. Thanks, Val. That's lovely. I'm just going to share those in the chat as well for people to have a little record of them. Any questions from anybody? Anything, Sanya, you'd like to add?
Just to touch on that negativity, would you say, Val, that it's a good idea to have the strategy prepared for that case if the negativity comes in, to kind of think about it and decide, okay, if that happens, I'll react in this kind of manner and stick to it? Is that something you
I've learned not to react straight away, to think about it, because when people, and they can attack you, and I've had it happen, and your first reaction is to almost attack back or defend yourself. But think about it, think about the approach that you're going to take rather than just because especially online, when people are reading a conversation, they don't know who the fool is, you know, and it's so true. They don't know who to believe, and if you come across as attacking back, it's not going to work. So I know, like, I was on TV talking about mental health, and somebody picked up on a comment, but they didn't pick up on the whole interview, so they kind of went for me about that, and I tried to reason with them. And there's only so much that you can reason with somebody, because if they have an idea in their head, you're not going to talk them away from that. So I tried as much as I could, and I was very nice and very polite, very positive. I'm a firm believer, don't say anything online that you wouldn't say to somebody's face. There are so many keyboard warriors, you know. If you wouldn't you know, just be nice. There are people at the end of the day behind every social media persona or group or page. There's a person. And your throwaway comment might mean nothing to you. You know, you might be doing it for a few laughs or whatever, but there's somebody reading that and you don't know how they're going to feel about that. So just think about what you're going to say. With the trolls, and there are a few of them, I get to a certain stage and I have blocked a few people on my personal account because it's just, it wasn't doing me any good mentally. And there are people that aren't going to like you. You know, that's the unfortunate thing. But on the whole, it's mainly positive, thankfully.
I think that's a great message that you just, and a great tip that you just gave, because it shows that you need to prepare your, you know, risk communication as well, your crisis communication. You need to think about it ahead. At the end of the day, all the participants here, you're all enterprises, so you know, you have a small team maybe around you, or you know, even volunteers, but you do have small community now that you can talk and brainstorm with and prepare yourselves for when that comes in, if it ever comes in, and then not being at risk of coming there unprepared and losing your brand or your image or your voice. So it's something to think about, not to expect the bad things, I guess, Val, but just it's a smart thing to think ahead and have that prepared and put it away somewhere in the drawer, but let the whole team know, okay, if bad things come in, we're gonna do it like this. We're gonna not engage in negativity. We'll stay proud and positive.
Yeah, it's very easy to wind people up even when you're not trying. So just, you know, just think about that. But yeah, just to take a pause. I always take a pause before I think, you know, and have a think. How am I going to deal with it?
Lovely, thank you. Back to you, Grace, I guess, or if anyone else has any questions. Well,
they're all very quiet.
Well, I guess these kind of webinars do tend to be like that. No one knows. Okay, it's a bit harder maybe than the live ones, but we're getting used to it, and it's working just fine.
Yeah. I think we had some interesting comments earlier on, Sonia, with regard to your piece on communications, which might be interesting to raise, just in case people haven't been following the chat. So just might recap over those. So Sabrina from Unabon again mentioned, you know, about the importance of being compassionate and communicating online and over the phone compassionately. And I think we touched on that a little bit, but it just something as a kind of a key takeaway for us all to be mindful of that, you know, communication is different now, and we do need to be more, I suppose, mindful of the words we use and how we communicate with people. So that was just one little thing to bring up.
Yeah, we always put that extra soft and warm word in. If you just read back what you've written, or look at the colors and that you used, or images, and just double check them, and don't just publish something without double checking, and always add an extra kind word in it.
Yeah. And actually, again, from Anna in Unabon, a really interesting thing that she noticed was in the craft shop, when people are, they have over 100 crafts from local artists, and so when it comes to promoting the crafts people online on their Facebook page, she has noticed that the photos that she takes in the shop, when people come to deliver the product, the photos she takes in the shop of people coming into the shop and the crafts people coming in actually get a lot more interaction than, say, a professional portfolio photograph taken by a photographer. So she was saying that, and we just had this discussion privately, and we were saying that potentially that's the informal aspect of it. So the the in the shop photo, as you said, the inside the business Photoshop is more informal, it's friendlier, it's warmer than maybe a staged professional photograph. So in terms of using photographs in your communications, you know, they don't have to be, you know, professional top quality. Sometimes the informal ones work just as well, if not better. So just something to be mindful of there. And I wonder if you'd agree with that, Sonia or Val, or indeed anybody else, that if they'd like to jump in on that, and maybe even yourself, if you'd like to add anything else. I think it's a really interesting point.
I was going to say, I totally agree with that. Again, people buy from people. They want to see the person that made the product. And I used to previously work in a craft shop, and I know that the story behind how the product got to the stage it was at, people love that. You know, especially a lot of the small businesses may be working from their kitchen table. You know, there may be dogs involved. There may be, you know, it's like, look at my helper today, things like that. And certainly Sligo Hub, we did a whole section about your office helpers, which involved the pets. And people love that. It just brings a more personal element into, I'm not just buying a product, I'm investing in a family, in a house, you know, in people. And it makes, you know, people then want to support that family rather than I'm just going to buy this product.
And it
Sorry. Yeah, I was just going to say with Val, that's what we found is when they're meeting the person and when they're actually can see who the person is that's made that product for themselves, they love it. It becomes, as Val said, there's the story behind the product. It's not commercially made in a big factory. It's this lovely little thing, and I've just found they work so much better. People they'll always comment and say, oh, I know that person, or I've seen what they can do, more so than this expensive professional thing that's been done that is so generic, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. It's investing in the people. I know when I started in the craft shop, I had a bit of fun. There were sock dogs sold and little sheep, and I took them on a tour of the Wild Atlantic Way. So I had a photo of the sock dog rounding up the little sock sheep with Ben Bulben in the background, and people just thought it was great, and they actually all went in and bought the things.
Yeah, and we have ducks, wooden ducks that took a tour the other day outside King House and on the steps of King House, and we did a real escaping and having a nose around, and it just lit up on Instagram.
It's great.
People coming to find their ducks, they're wonderful.
Yeah, it's brilliant, and it makes things more, you know, it's more approachable to people. People want to see a bit of fun because, you know, I don't know about you, but I find when I'm looking at a product on a white background, I'm like, it doesn't really do anything for me. But if you're seeing a product in context, and again with the people that make it, you're investing in that area, in that person, in that life. You know, it just is lovely, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Brilliant. Great. Something else that came up in the chat when we were having our discussion on Canva, and again, the ladies in Unabon were familiar with it, which was great to see. And a suggestion for them was, for those that maybe haven't used it yet, is to try to recreate a flyer or something else as a practical way of learning how to use it. So, you know, maybe you've had somebody design a flyer for you. Well, you could try recreate that flyer now yourself. So I think that's a really great idea. And just to try and apply the learning and the design. As we finish up here now in the next few minutes, we're not going to get to our third topic today, so we're going to save that for next week. But what I want to spend the next few minutes talking about is the mentoring opportunity that is coming up this week for everybody to engage with. I think over the last couple of weeks, you'll have an opportunity to meet most of our mentors. I'm just going to share my screen to where the booking link is. Well, thank you, Sonia in the background has shared it in the chat. I'm just going to bring this up. I think it was shared last week, but it might have like that popped up quickly and maybe went off again. So I will reshare my screen here and take you through it. So again, being very fond of our digital tools at Momentum. We have employed a new tool for this booking, mentoring booking session. So it's called You Can Book Me. And when you land on the Catalyse Roscommon You Can Book Me page, you can see here that we have 6 mentors up on the page. So the sessions are starting from tomorrow, Thursday and Friday this week. So we have 2 blocks of sessions, and just to explain to you how the mentoring is going to work. So as a part of this program, you have 2 one-to-one mentoring sessions, and these are followed up with 4 hours of support. So for example, in block 1, you might decide that you need some funding, mentoring, and you might choose to book Orla as your mentor. So you will have a 1-hour one-to-one mentoring session with Orla, and then Orla will follow this up with 2 hours work on your behalf, be it reviewing a funding proposal, maybe researching some particular areas of funding for your particular need. So this would be your block 1 session. If you need marketing support, you could book a 1-hour marketing session with Laura. Again, we have slots tomorrow, Thursday and Friday. You would have a 1-to-1 session with Laura, and then Laura will do 2 hours work on your behalf, backing up and the mentoring session. So that might be reviewing your marketing plan, reviewing your marketing strategy, or helping you come up with a new campaign. So both the mentee or the organization and the mentor will have homework to do on the back of the mentoring session. So it'll be, you know, working together, following the initial mentoring meeting, face-to-face meeting online, and then you both go away and have hours of work to do and come back with hopefully a new, be it a new funding strategy, a new marketing strategy, new marketing campaign. So also Sanya is going to be a mentor. Sanya will, as you can see, has lots of experience in communication. So if, for example, you really loved Canva, but you're still not confident enough with maybe taking the plunge and trying it out, you could book a session with Sanya, and she could maybe look at that in more detail with you and give you more guidance on it. Our 5th mentor is John. John is primarily a photographer and videographer, but he also has experience in creating low-cost websites on a platform called squarespace.com. So if that's something you need help with, John can assist you with that. He can also help you with guidance on how to create great visuals. So for example, in Unabon, if you maybe the ladies will decide, okay, we're good with Canva, we're okay for funding at the moment, but we need help with our photography, then you could maybe potentially book a session with John. So for just as an example. So he will focus primarily on mobile photography. So that will help you really make the use of your smartphones. You don't need any fancy equipment. So that's something John can look at with you. And then Gillian is our graphic designer. She can help with if you need something like a logo refresh, or if you need a flyer or something created for something that's coming up. Maybe you need a new Facebook banner, Facebook covers. She can help with something like that. Again, so this is the first block of mentoring sessions, and there will be another block of mentoring sessions towards the end of the program. Again, you'll have the opportunity to engage a mentor for 1 hour and also to follow on 2 hours of support from them. If you have quite a big job that you want done, you could book the same mentor twice. So for example, something like the creation of a logo, it can't be done in 3 hours. It would take our graphic designer and you to maybe work collaboratively over a number of design proofs to actually get the final logo. So that would be something that you would need to block your two mentoring sessions with her for that. If it's a smaller job, like something like a flyer you wanted created, you could book a mentoring session with Gillian now, and then you could book your next mentoring session with Orla on funding, for example. So really easy to use this online tool to book your session. Sonia has shared the link in the chat. I think we've also emailed it to you, but if you haven't booked a session for this week, please do so. You have the opportunity of a number of sessions over the 3 days. So they're 1 hour slots, and each mentor has, that hasn't been booked, has slots available. So for example, if I click into Orla, you can see that she has a number of slots available on Thursday and Friday. So that's the mentoring sessions. Any questions on that? I think all your microphones are still on, so you can jump in and ask a question if there's anything you're unsure of, or if you need any support. You can email us if you need the link. Again, it's there in the chat. Is everybody okay with that, with the mentoring sessions? Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks a million, guys.
Great. Did I miss anything else, Sonia? You can jump in and tell me. I think we're about to wrap up now. I suppose just to say thank you for all your input and for joining in on the chat, for your questions. We will cover the third topic, which is on volunteering, next week as part of our workshop 4. So next week's workshop will be storytelling and volunteering. So we might break that up into just 2 topics, kind of an even split on that. Sorry, Sonia, I'll let you jump in.
No, I just need to thank everyone for the attention. Hope it was useful. You can watch this over again, pause it at some places maybe if you want to try and practice some of the things yourself or implement it. This whole presentation is full of pieces of information that you might want to look at again and maybe share with your team. And then see you soon again. Thank you.
Great. And a huge thanks to Val for joining us, and to Sonia in the background as well for her technical support and keeping everything moving as well. Mary, I don't know if you have anything to say or jump in on before we finish up for today.
No, it was a very interesting session. Thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm looking at how I can profile myself a little bit better. And I suppose to all the participants, you know, I think now that August is over and we have a quieter time, you know, I suppose particularly with them, I suppose from the tourism perspective, organizations or social enterprises, this is a time to use to their benefit. And I suppose and I would kind of encourage people to share things with each other. As one of you mentioned there, there's no point in keeping it a secret. I think the best thing to do is throw out an idea, and you'll always find that, you know, somebody will add value to it or say, oh, I tried that and it didn't work. So it might save you a bit of pain in the future. But generally, to say, both Mary Guihan and myself are available in the background if anybody needs to touch base with us or ask anything. So good luck to everyone.
Brilliant. Great. So we will see you next week. Sonia will send out the recording on this, and if you can make it, please let us know. It'd be great to know in advance, just in case we have to reschedule. Of course, we want to try to have as many people on these sessions as possible. So if you can't make it, please let us know. And if you can make it, also please let us know, just so we can plan in advance. And next week, as I say, will be on volunteering and on storytelling, and we look forward to hearing how you all get on in your mentoring sessions. Again, if you haven't booked that, please do so, and any questions, we're always here as well to answer anything by email. So have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.